Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there is a ton of news stories to get into today. So let's talk about some Impact Wrestling news. Let's talk about Kurt Angle, because Kurt Angle has revealed that Impact Wrestling did indeed make him an offer to return to the ring after his WWE retirement. Now, this isn't totally a news story, because if you're familiar, I believe we covered this. I'm just trying to think of the time frame. I believe it was around Bound for Glory last year. I remember doing a video talking about it here on the channel, and essentially the story was that around Bound for Glory time, this is around the time that Impact Wrestling were reaching out to several names. They reached out to Kurt Angle. I think they reached out to Chael Sonnen as well, tried to get a deal with him going at the same time. And the report was that Impact Wrestling had made quite a lucrative offer to Kurt Angle to come in, wrestle one match. What their match would have been, we don't know. But that was the report at the time. Now, since then, Kurt Angle has confirmed that that was indeed the case. Former WWE superstar and WWE Hall of Famer Kurt Angle has revealed that he indeed did have offers from the likes of Impact Wrestling and AEW to return to the ring after his WWE retirement. Now, he recently spoke with Fightful Select, which of course is Fightful's Patreon service. Be sure to check that out for an upcoming interview, and noted about these offers. He was asked about the discussion when Impact officials reportedly contacted Angle about returning to work for the company. Angle, of course, is a former multiple-time TNA World Heavyweight Champion, one of the more influential figures in Impact Wrestling history, one of the real stars that helped legitimize the company in the mid-2000s when he jumped from WWE to TNA Wrestling at the time, was part of the big TNA boom on Spike TV at a period of time where they were nearly hitting 2 million viewers on Spike TV. That was a big part of that, was Kurt Angle being front and center, one of the main guys of that company. Now, he said, Kurt Angle, in this interview with Fightful, he said that the contract with Impact was to be, quote, for a one-shot deal only. He noted that even though he has a soft spot for Impact/TNA, he never seriously considered the offer. Of course, Kurt Angle was released from a WWE contract in April 2020 due to budget cuts associated with COVID-19. He had been working various television roles, but was not a regular in-ring competitor anymore. He has returned to WWE for a few more appearances, and later revealed how WWE had offered him a new contract to come back and work as Riddle's manager on WWE television, but he turned it down because he wanted to focus on his physically fit health and nutrition business. So again, it's just interesting, isn't it, when you see stories like this, because again, as I mentioned at the top of the video, I vividly recall covering this at the time when this report came out, and I can't remember, it feels like a lifetime ago. It feels like a lifetime ago, last October. Now that we're near the end of July, beginning of August, it feels like a lifetime ago, so I can't even remember what I said about Kurt Angle coming in before. He basically said, and he kind of touched on this when he spoke about the AEW offer that he got as well, that physically he's just not up to it, and the reason he turned down AEW and the reason he turned down Impact Wrestling was because physically he just can't go anymore. His time is over and he can't compete at the level that he once could, and he spoke about that every day. This guy's in a lot of pain. I don't think he really shows it that much, and physically Kurt Angle actually, from looking at him, is in the best shape he's been in a really long time. But obviously you can't yourself feel how someone else feels when they wake up in the morning. And Kurt Angle says, look, the reason I'm in great shape right now is because I have to be. If I let myself go and I got out of shape, I'd be in a lot of pain. The reason I'm in such great shape is because otherwise I'm not walking around. Kurt Angle is so beat up, not just from pro wrestling. It should be really important to say that. He's not just beat up from pro wrestling. He's beat up from amateur wrestling, obviously, the Olympics, having so many broken necks, and he's beat up. He's done. His knees are shot, his shoulders, the atrophy in his arms because of the neck injuries that he's had, and really he's gone to doctors. He said that he was recently having symptoms about his neck troubles again, and he went to the doctors, and they kind of just sort of threw their hands up and said, there's not a lot we can do. Your neck's pretty screwed up, unfortunately. And when you hear him talk about how much pain he's in every day, when you hear him talk about what he has to do to try and keep himself relatively pain-free, and again, this is a guy that he was in so much pain that he had just this insane, crazy addiction to prescription painkillers and opiates because of that, and alcohol. That's why he had all those DUIs and Perk Angle and all that kind of stuff. That all stems from his neck. That all stems from the injuries that he suffered throughout his amateur wrestling and pro wrestling career. That's where it comes from, and as someone that he managed to overcome it, and he's a former addict in recovery, but that mindset, that addiction never really goes away. You learn to deal with it and live with it and fight it every single day. So not only is this the guy that again, physically, even though he's in good shape right now, he's still in a lot of pain. He can't even do what he used to do as a former addict and swallow all these pills to make himself feel better. So it's a really difficult life for Kurt Angle. And the fact that he's able to really persevere, he's got so many projects going on right now, whether it's his podcast, The Kurt Angle Show, which I recommend to go check that out, ad-free shows. Obviously, his own company, the Physically Fit Health and Nutrition business. He's got that going on. He doesn't need to be taking bumps, and physically, he just can't do it anymore. And whilst it would have been great to see him come back and work one match inside of an Impact Wrestling ring, wherever that may have been, I don't know what that would have been. If I think back to October last year, maybe it would have been against someone like Moose, maybe, the whole TNA World Heavyweight Championship storyline. Moose was holding that title at the time. Kurt Angle is a former TNA World Heavyweight Champion. He held that version of the bout as well, so possibly that could have been a story. But to be honest with you, and I spoke about this, I touched on it in the AEW news video I did earlier today, Kurt Angle, towards the end of his run with WWE, was so broken down you could see it. And Kurt Angle, did he deserve better in WWE? Absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind he deserved so much better than what he had in WWE in terms of his retirement. Kurt Angle deserved more than a 4-minute WrestleMania match, the penultimate match on the WrestleMania card against Baron Corbin that nobody really cared about. Kurt Angle has spoken openly. He was frustrated with his last WWE run. What he wanted was that he wanted the Goldberg run. He wanted to come back fresh in 2017, not be the general manager, not go into Hall of Fame. He wanted to come back, be fresh, wrestle some matches, win the World Championship, and then retire. They did it the other way around, and they kept him inactive for such a long period of time that by the time came, for him to actually be wrestling matches, he hadn't taken bumps, he hadn't done anything in such a long period of time. He was so arthritic and he had so bad arthritis and his joints were screwed up. That's why he was so hunched over and he was bending at the knees and all that kind of stuff. He just wasn't Kurt Angle anymore. And he knew that, and he felt himself like he was being a bit of a fraud and he wasn't being the best version of Kurt Angle that he could be. And I think these companies like AEW, like Impact, reached out to Angle because they knew that he had frustrations with how his career ended in WWE, but seeing how he was performing in those last few matches, I myself as a fan don't really have any desire to see Kurt Angle inside of a ring anymore. It's a bit like the Undertaker situation, and I think Undertaker's probably in better shape, amazingly, than Kurt Angle in terms of physically, but again, that's a guy that's so beat up that every time he would enter the ring in those last couple of years, you just kind of went, look, enough. You don't need to do it anymore. And not that you become a parody of yourself, but you're not what you once were. And not that that's ever a bad thing, but just as a fan, you're going, I don't want to see someone hurt themselves for some moron cheering in the crowd. I want them to be happy and healthy. And certainly mentally, and I guess physically right now, he's healthier and happier than he's been in a long time. So I don't think there's any desire for me as a fan to see Kurt Angle come back inside of an Impact Wrestling ring. Certainly in the pandemic. I mean, once you're talking about crowds and arenas, it's a different kind of pool. But for Kurt Angle, especially in the shape that he's in physically and the pain that he's in, to come out of retirement and wrestle in an empty warehouse or an empty studios in Nashville, Tennessee, in Skyway Studios, I don't know the money that was being offered, but for me, it just doesn't feel worth it, if I'm going to be honest with you. Whilst it would have been fun to see, I have no desire. I just have no desire, and I don't think Kurt Angle does as well. He mentioned that he never took it seriously, so that is what it is. It's an interesting story, but obviously Kurt Angle's in-ring days are done. He's not wrestling again, whether it's for WWE, AEW, or Impact Wrestling. Taking bumps, I don't know, but he's not wrestling matches again. That's just not happening. Now, last night, of course, was Impact Wrestling on Access TV. We knew this was going to happen anyway, but Frankie Kazarian, AEW star Frankie Kazarian, made his return to Impact Wrestling last night. He will make his 7-year in-ring return to Impact Wrestling next week because Kazarian will be joining Sami Callihan and Eddie Edwards in a massive 6-man tag team match against the Elite, which of course is the Impact World Champion Kenny Omega and the Impact World Tag Team Champions, the Good Brothers, next week on Impact on Access TV. Now, the Elite Hunter, whatever that means, I hate that storyline, to be honest. I like Frankie Kazarian, but that storyline is so dumb. As an Elite Hunter, he's terrible because he's not really hunting down the Elite that much. Every time he's been in the ring with either the Good Brothers or whoever, he loses. So not much of an Elite Hunter. It's a cool name and it's cool merchandise, but I'm not really sure it's doing much for Frankie in that sense. But he made his return to Impact last night on Impact after the Elite went down to the ring to call out Impact Management for making that #1 contender battle royal. That's set for 2 weeks now. The winner of the event will face Kenny Omega for his World Championship at Emergence. Again, we know the winner of that match. I'm not going to spoil it here if you don't know, but it's madness. I really don't understand that one. But during Don Callis' promo, Sami Callihan interrupted him and announced that not only will he participate in said Battle Royal, but he also spoke with Executive Vice President Scott D'Amore about setting up a 6-man tag team match for next week. Outraged by this power move, the Elite were met by a major beatdown by Frankie Kazarian, who attacked them from behind. Now, of course, at Slammiversary, Callihan and Omega squared off in the main event for the Impact World Championship. Omega won when he hit the One-Winged Angel in their no disqualification matchup. Again, Omega's going to be defending that championship at Emergence next month. He's going to win. I have no doubt about that. Even though it hasn't been taped, he is going to win. So as I mentioned, this is Frankie Kazarian's first Impact appearance in about 7 years. And it's interesting because we did the story yesterday, didn't we? Where Tony Khan, the AEW president, was asked by the New York Post, what's going on with the Impact and AEW crossover? Are we going to see more names come into Impact Wrestling? And Tony Khan basically said, look, it's a logistical thing. It's difficult to do. Of course, we want to do it. We're going to continue to do it, but it's tough because Impact tape their television a month at a time and we're live week to week. Plans change, things change, and it's difficult to map all of that out. But I think this is basically where this AEW and Impact Wrestling working relationship is going to go post Kenny Omega. I think this is the best example of what realistically we're going to see once Kenny Omega does drop that Impact World Championship. Whenever that does happen, I don't know at this point, considering the news that Hangman and Omega's not happening at All Out. I don't even know if Kenny Omega's going to drop the AEW World Championship at All Out anymore, so I don't know what's going on. I really don't know what's going on when it goes to the Impact World Championship, but I think this is a good example of what's going to happen post Omega in the sense that there are AEW stars that struggle to make it on Dynamite, even though Rampage is coming soon and it's an extra hour of television. You could say, well, maybe those stars will appear on Rampage. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. We don't know. But there's certainly a lot of names on that AEW roster right now. And let's face it, a lot of them struggle to get on television. Frankie Kazarian's a great example of that. A veteran, a name, people know. He's got this elite hunter gimmick, but he's not on the program a lot of the time. He was on Fyter Fest Night 2 a couple of weeks ago, but he lost to Doc Gallows. But apart from that, he might do a run-in, but mostly he's on Dark or Dark Elevation, all that kind of stuff. And if he's not being used, and he's not really being prominently featured in a storyline or a featured storyline on AEW main television, which would be Dynamite and Rampage, why not have him come into an Impact taping? And I think that's the way going forward. I think when you had Matt Hardy and Private Party come in earlier this year, I think that's going to be the relationship. I think we're going to see more of a situation of this AEW star hasn't got a ton going on. They're kind of featured in, but nothing particular. Frankie Kazarian, again, the Matt Hardy family, and maybe even some slightly bigger names, Jurassic Express, maybe not Jungle Boy, but Jurassic Express, or whoever. Names that are featured on Dark and Dark Elevation that maybe struggle to get on the program, and they go, you know what? Just come over to Impact, do a couple of days of taping. Suddenly you're on Impact Wrestling television for 4, 5, 6 weeks. That's a good thing. That's a good thing for them. It's good exposure, gets buzz on social media, keeps their name in the spotlight. Obviously, Impact Wrestling, it helps them out in terms of ratings because every time an AEW wrestler shows up on Impact Wrestling programming, the ratings do tend to go up the following week. Be interesting to see if that happens this time, of course, with the spoilers that are out there. But I think that's the way that this is going to happen going forward. So I'm excited to see what happens with Kazarian going forward. It'll be interesting to see if he shows up at the next set of television tapings. I don't know if he will or not. But if he does, then maybe he's going to be sticking around with Impact Wrestling for a little bit longer. And it would make sense because, of course, they had the match on Fyter Fest a couple of weeks ago, which Kazarian lost to the Good Brothers. And I mentioned at the time that might be a good reason to transition that over to Impact. So maybe that's what they're going to be doing going forward. Maybe Kazarian's going to have a bit of an extended time in Impact, which is great because, again, there are so many names on that AEW roster right now that have so much history with Impact Wrestling. There are so many names, whether it's Cody Rhodes, whether it's Kazarian, Christopher Daniels, whoever, the Lucha Brothers. I mean, the list goes on and on. Blade, Ali. I mean, I could go on and on of names that are on that roster. That Santana and Ortiz. There are so many names that have Impact Wrestling history. So those names, if and when they do return to Impact as part of this working relationship, it works so well because Impact have all of this history, all of this footage that they can use. So I think it's great. I think this is the example of how this relationship is going to work going forward, and I'm excited to see Frankie back in an Impact Wrestling ring next week. Now, last night on Impact as well, we saw the return of Su Yung along with Kimber Lee. Now, we saw in a backstage promo that Su Yung has turned Kimberly into a version of an undead bridesmaid. This has been building up over the course of the last few weeks, of course, with Deonna Purrazzo kicking Susan and Kimberly to the curb, and then Kimberly tried to have Su Yung worked on by Father James Mitchell once again, and then Susan came back out, revealed to Kimberly that she's known about Su Yung all along and brought Kimberly in with her, and now she's transformed Kimberly into one of her undead bridesmaids. I like it. I like it. I think we always expected the return of Su Yung. That was going to happen. I thought we were going to see Su Yung involved with Deonna Purrazzo. They haven't gone in that direction. I think that's probably the right call, to be honest with you, because we've seen it. We saw it last year at Bound for Glory. We saw it at Turning Point. It's a bit weird, but they haven't really paid off that much, the association of Kimberly and Su Yung or Susan. They just kind of kicked her to the curb. Now they're doing her own thing. They might revisit it after Deonna Purrazzo's done with all this NWA Empower stuff, Melina, Mickie James, with that kind of stuff. They've got that in their back pocket. The reason I think I really like this is because I think it shows great attention to detail from Impact to their Knockouts tag team division. We've seen the issues in companies like WWE when it comes to their women's tag team division. It's one thing setting up a women's tag team division. It's one thing having a tournament to crown those women's tag team champions, but you have to consistently book a solid women's tag team division going forward with real female tag teams. Having Su Yung and Kimberly as the Undead Bride and the Undead Bridesmaid, that's a good tag team. That's a legitimate tag team. Fire and Flavor, we know what's going to happen with them, so they're disappearing soon. But you've also got the tag team champions right now in Rosemary and Havoc, and I think we might be heading towards some really more dark, disturbing stuff once again with Rosemary and Su Yung. I think we would probably be going in that direction. Decay versus the Undead Bride and our Undead Bridesmaid. That, to me, makes a lot of sense. That's quite compelling to me. Impact Wrestling do have a good track history on doing compelling stuff when it comes to the more supernatural elements of it. And again, I know that a lot of people, it's not for them. And some people don't really like the whole undead stuff or supernatural stuff, or sometimes with Impact Wrestling with their comedy. And I don't think this will be comedy. I think it will just be, again, over-the-top supernatural. They're not massive fans of that kind of stuff. And look, let's be honest, WWE have been doing that as well. I know, don't get me wrong, I know Rosemary and Su Yung have been doing it far before WWE were doing it, but WWE are doing it on a larger platform right now when it comes to Alexa Bliss, mainly Alexa Bliss. Bray Wyatt's kind of off television at the moment, and the reaction to the whole Alexa Bliss stuff hasn't actually been very strong on social media. I'm not a fan of it. I think it's overdone and played out, and the whole Lily stuff and mind control. It's not for me. And I know some people might look at this and go, oh, Impact, I don't want you to go in that kind of direction. I don't know if they will be going in that direction. Logically, if I'm looking at things on paper right now, it does make sense to have Su Yung, Kimberly versus Havoc and Rosemary. I don't know if they're going to go in that direction. I'm willing to see how it plays out because I think Impact have earned that right, whereas WWE Creative hasn't. But we'll see. It's certainly interesting and great to see Su Yung back. And I think Kimberly, it's a great look. I think it's a great look, so I'm excited for that. Last night at Impact also featured a rematch from Slammiversary in Moose facing Chris Sabin. And Moose this time defeated Chris Sabin. But after the match, the two brawled once again with Moose trying to throw Sabin out the ring. Sabin came back in, hit some moves. So it looks like we're going to get another Moose and Chris Sabin match in the near future. I know it's a couple of weeks ago now, and I know it's over and all that kind of stuff. I still don't understand why they had Chris Sabin win that match at Slammiversary. I would have much rather, considering Slammiversary is the much bigger platform, it's the event and match that people were talking about, or certainly the event that had the most buzz and eyeballs on it. I would be looking at it saying that's the one for Moose to win. If you're insisting on doing a sort of three matches, 1-1, and then there's the rubber match, Chris Sabin should have lost at Slammiversary. Moose should have won that first big match. Chris Sabin wins the match on Impact last night. I'm not a fan of a roll-up finish, but I think Moose needs to be protected because I think he is a future world champion in Impact. I'm surprised he isn't already, to be honest. I'd have had Chris Sabin win last night's one with a roll-up. Moose get angry, beat the hell out of him, then you go to the rubber match. That's how you do this storyline, do this series of matches and protect Moose. They didn't do that. They haven't done that. They had arguably Moose win the bigger match. Yes, he won last night. Yes, he won decisively, but the match isn't over yet. Don't get me wrong, the matches are good, and Chris Sabin versus Moose is a very exciting match. This booking just seems really illogical to me. The matches are great, and I know people like the feud, and I know the outcome that certainly Impact are going to be hoping for is that Moose comes out of this once again with more credibility, being more over. I just don't know how I feel about someone getting over by losing, especially someone like Moose. Different characters, okay, but Moose is a big dominant guy, and he's coming off losing to Kenny Omega. I still didn't understand him losing at Slammiversary. I know people say, well, he got his win back last night. What is this, WWE? 50-50 bipolar booking? I don't think so. So I'm excited for another match between them as long as Moose wins, though, because I think that has to be the direction that they go in. Finally, we have some new teams announced for Impact's Homecoming tournaments, which of course is going to be airing this Saturday on Impact Plus. We will be doing a watch-along for the events and a post-show reaction stream as well. So be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner, click the notification bell. You'll be notified when we go live for Impact Homecoming and the post-show reaction stream on Saturday. But this Saturday, a new King and Queen will be crowned at Impact's Homecoming. On Impact last night, 3 more teams were added to the tournament. Tasha Steelz and Falabar and Alicia Edwards and Hernandez have been announced to the tournament. Additionally, Deonna Purrazzo has announced that she will be entering the tournament, but she did not reveal who her tag team partner will be. Spoiler warning. I'll give you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We know who that person is. It's the former Aiden English, the Drama King, Matthew. I always struggle to say his name. Rewalt, formerly known as Aiden English, before the broadcast of Impact Wrestling last night, tweeted out the following statement. Eyes emoji, so eyes on Impact Wrestling the next few days, just saying. So he's saying he's going to be there. He is in it. That's the spoiler. He is in it. We saw a vignette for him at Slammiversary, and he's going to be making his debut at Impact Homecoming on Saturday nights. So we have more teams announced, but as I mentioned, we will be doing a watch-along and a post-show reaction stream for the event too. But look, guys, as always, this is just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on all of these Impact Wrestling stories we've spoken about today? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll do my best to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys, talking about Impact Wrestling, AEW, WWE, New Japan Pro Wrestling, all things pro wrestling here on the channel. So be sure to get involved in the community. Drop a comment below. All opinions are welcome. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button too. Really does help us out here on YouTube. Get the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestling News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now, or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or having come across this video today, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.